Check, check.
The PhD toxicologist.
Small class sizes and a each student develop into well-rounded scholars and followers of Jesus Christ. In addition, from 9 a.m. to 11.
Check, 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 check. Okay, we're set here. Okay, right there on the board, I have the 4 right under the 4.
Okay, so I got a pen.
The one with the bumper up. If the bumper's not up, then.
See if this
You already focused this and everything?
Yeah, don't unfocus. It's just a matter of framing it. Okay, but that looks good. Cool. What? Yeah, I think so. Good enough. Maybe I'll. Okay. Mm. Welcome to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to us on AM 1460 and FM 101.1. The Answer. Welcome to Tuesdays, which is always our government and politics day. And we're trying something new today, sort of new, in the saying the quiet stuff out loud that is our motto here at the Peak, is accountability. That is what the media, that's not new. I'll tell you in a minute what the new part is. But what the media is supposed to do, in my opinion, is to keep a society accountable. That's what happens when you shine light on things, right? When you expose things, when you ask good questions, when you insist on good answers. And so as we build out this vision for the Peak News as a region-wide citizen journalist project, as so many newsrooms around the country are drying up, especially like local newspapers in smaller areas, and there's a rise of the influencers and podcasts, and those things are wonderful. But somewhere in the middle between what's become known as professional or mainstream media or journalism, if we can still call it journalism, and the opening up of platforms to everybody, really, for little or no cost, is something in the middle where we, the people, take the media back, use these platforms, but also have to operate with a level of accountability ourselves, because, you don't want, what is that, the fox watching the hen house or something? Some kind of mixed metaphor there, but to have a group that is supposed to, which is the media, which is supposed to be watching over everybody else, we need to watch over our own industry too, and others need to do that. And what happened was we extended too much trust. But when you bring things back to the local level, as I've said many times here, it brings trust because these are our neighbors and it's local and we can check up on things. And over time, we can really make sure that the media is serving us. And so as part of that accountability, what we want to do in the government and political space is to have a lot of local reporters, citizen journalists, interns, if you're young people, covering everything that's going on in the governmental realm. When we're having elections, to be able to cover that. When we're in legislative session, like they are under the Gold Dome, as that's finishing up this month up in Denver, the city council meetings, the county commissioner meetings, and such, is to have reporters out there shining a light, exposing, asking good questions, making sure that we know what's going on, making sure that when different votes on different topics are coming up, that those who are stakeholders that would like to know about it, would like to make public comment, would like to be there observing, actually know that it's going on. And that's a big vision because it's going to take a lot of people. But what we decided to do today, and we're going to have some level of success at it, because some of the people that we wanted to come on today, some weren't available at all. Some we just found out last minute not available because of their involvement in local government, is to have local officials come on and give us reports every so often about what is going on from their perspective, what's important, what could we paying attention to. Now, of course, self-reporting is good, and we want to trust all of those who come on. I consider everybody, every guest who comes on here, that they need to show that level of responsibility of being, of reporting accurately themselves. But we have today on what we're calling our first Government Accountability Tuesday, we're going to be first in our headline segment, talking about headlines that talk about different accountability and what's going on, things that you should be aware of. And then we're going to be bringing on County Commissioner Corey Applegate to talk about what it's been like as his first time county commissioner, just very, very, recently, how that's been, and what are the big issues going on down there. We were hoping, and thank you to Representative and Pastor Scott Bottoms, was going to be giving a legislative report, but he said that he can't leave the House chamber to do that because they are working on that 1312 transgender protection bill, and he can't leave. So thankfully, Commissioner Applegate is going to be doing an extended segment with us. And then we are bringing on Tom Hamner. Many of you know him as J6, I don't know what we call J6 survivor, a pardoned person who's been very, very active in the Patriot movement and talking about the feds are coming to town, what it's looking like as the federal government is coming into Colorado and even Colorado Springs to help us here, hopefully help us here, although I think it would be better if we helped ourselves. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to Government and Politics Tuesday. It's our first Government Accountability Day, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to us on AM 1460 and FM 101.1 The Answer. And this is Government and Politics Tuesday, as it always is. And today, no guest in the studio, but we do have a couple calling in order to take care of that with us. Tom, actually, I take that back. Tom Hamner was in the studio earlier today. He was here at our offices, and we pre-recorded that. So we're going to be playing that during the fifth segment of the show. But what we're doing today, as we seek to really keep everybody accountable, that's what the media is supposed to do. And then that means we report on what is going on. It doesn't mean we go after anybody specifically. It's just that we're shining a light all over the place and see what we get, the good, the bad, and the ugly. As I've said, the media, especially if you're a government official or someone of power in some realm in any community, that the media can be your best friend or your worst nightmare. It really depends. Are you acting in a proper ethical way in what you're doing? And so the media is supposed to be here to not have a dog in the fight, to not be supporting or opposing anything except, and we're learning this as we go, when do we take a stand? When can the media take a stand? And that is really for every news organization to figure out, as we're doing here. But I think when we get into constitutional issues, especially First Amendment issues that have to do with speech, whenever the media, because that is what allows a free press, whenever the media sees anything that would be silencing free speech, whether it be in the media or in private citizens, I think we need to stand up for things like that, which is why, like, for instance, this bill, this what's called the Transgender Protection Bill 1312, where, it's saying that parents can no longer, call their children by their legally given name if the child, is saying that they can't and they have a new name and a new gender and whatever, that parents could potentially lose their children over that. I think that that's something where the press, it's not taking a side over whether you agree with transgenderism or anything like that. It really becomes a free speech issue and a personal rights and a constitutional issue. And I believe in America that the press should always be standing up for that unapologetically. And we'll seek to do that here. But it's always, everything's always conflated. There's always other narratives and other stories within all of those free speech issues. And so staying down the middle on one while defending another is a challenge. And that's what we're trying to figure out, as journalism is, in a lot of ways, that art has been lost in our society, and we're trying to take it back. So I want to do a shout out to all of our sponsors. Thank you so much for supporting the Peak and bringing this wonderful service of saying the quiet stuff out loud to our region. Specific shout out to our platinum sponsor, Springs Dentists and Dr. Craig Summer, Holistic Dentistry in Colorado. A lot more than dentistry. In fact, I'm getting treated by Dr. Summers right now with a very cool treatment for sleep apnea. That's a laser treatment that are doing now, and some really other cool stuff. So check out Springs Dentist and Dr. Craig Summer, especially if you're into natural health. Also, our journalistic ethics program that's tied into our internship program, and we have running the show right now, James, who is there. He is an intern for the Peak, as well as now an contract employee for Salem Media at the age of 20, running the board and doing other technical stuff around here, which is what internship programs are all about. And when Michael Gall, superintendent of the D11 school system, was on our program last year, we started talking about bringing a broadcast journalism course in journalistic ethics tied into an internship into the D11 school system. And we are doing that. We will be teaching students at the Wasson campus in Colorado Springs D11 school system in August. And you don't have to be in D11. You don't even have to be a public school student. Homeschoolers are welcome too. For all the information about the program, it will be high school and college credit. Just great program. We're very, very excited about this. Go to our Peak website, thepeak.news, and go to the D11 CTE for career training education link. Find out about the program. If you're a student or parent, please join the program. And also, if you would like to support, because this is under our Peak News Educational Foundation, our nonprofit, and it's our responsibility as part of this educational partnership to develop the curriculum. And so we are fundraising right now to do that, and would appreciate if you believe in what the Peak is doing, if you want to raise up a new generation of integrous journalists, youth here in the region, we would appreciate your support. And you can give on that webpage too at thepeak.news. Okay, so a couple of things regarding accountability that I found from the news. First of all, Colorado Springs prepares for public updates to park system master plan, and they are looking for community involvement in that. The last master plan for the public park systems in Colorado Springs was over 10 years ago. And so if you are interested in how our parks are maintained and expanded, they will be putting out for listening sessions and online surveys and such over the coming weeks. So look for that in the press to be involved in that. Another way that we as the people can keep things that our tax money goes to accountable. Also, Colorado lawmakers attempted an override of a Jared Polis veto, which failed. And this was regarding Senate Bill 77 regarding transparency in government. And this specific bill, which was vetoed, and then it was determined that there wasn't enough time to override the veto because the legislative session is finishing up. That this is a lot regarding CORA requests, which are the Freedom of Information Act, releasing government records and the application of that. And this, people are debating whether this was, more government transparency or less. Governor Polis obviously didn't like it in that current form, but it would have created three classes of open records requests. So when you go to make these requests to the government, journalist as one category, and would have their queries honored under existing law. But it also divided off those who are doing it for commercial purposes and then everyone else. And there were concerns that journalists, like that the government would determine who's a journalist and who's not, and also raised arguments about the extension of time for fulfilling the request. It was actually making it extra days, which it was felt was actually against government transparency. And there have been other, including Sunshine Law, which is open meeting law, and others that have been coming down the pike to actually limit government transparency. And we certainly don't want that. I know it does put a burden on our elected officials and others in the government to have to process these things, but we have to remember we the people are still the government. So lastly, I want to talk about Colorado has joined over a dozen lawsuits to fight federal orders under the Trump administration. And so you should be aware of this. And, do you agree with this? Do you not agree with it? But regarding tariffs, Governor Jared Polis and Attorney General Weiser announced that Colorado would join a multi-state lawsuit to block President Trump from imposing tariffs on more than 90 countries. There's lawsuits regarding the Federal Trade Commission and people that Trump fired from the FTC, Social Security Administration. Certainly so much of this is what Doge or however it's pronounced is doing, of cutting these funds, Affordable Care Act money. There's part of, voter registration. On April 3rd, Colorado joined 19 other states in filing a lawsuit against Trump, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, and the Federal Election Assistance Commission for what they insisted is unconstitutional order to modify the national voter registration form and require documentary proof of American citizenship. Don't you think that only U.S. citizens and those who can prove it should be voting? I do. Public health grants, suing against cuts to that. Suing regarding with 20 other states regarding Trump administration from dismantling the Department of Education. Birthright citizenship, fighting against the need for people to not just come to the country, have children, and have them be citizens, and other things, including gender transition services that Trump has ordered that federal funding be cut from that. So Colorado has decided to file many lawsuits in order to not go along with the federal government and things that President Trump is doing. How do you feel about that? Well, get involved. You're listening to The Peak. We'll be right back. Okay, please call Corey. Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. And no, we don't lie to you here. There's just too much competition for that. We figured we might as well just put information in front of you, get the best local guests on that we can, and have you decide what is right for you. Usually, when we say truth, of course, there are ultimate truths in the world and things that are ridiculous, in my opinion, to argue over. But most of what we say as truth is really meaning. What does it mean to you? And so, for me to tell you what a certain set of facts mean, I can put it in context if I'm, educated in that area, or guests are educated in that area. But you really need to determine the meaning. And so you don't want people to tell you what to think, but just to inform you. And so to do that on this Tuesday, which is always our Government and Politics Day, and we are doing Government Accountability Day, our first one. Didn't come together as much as we wanted. We had planned a whole bunch of different call-in guests for this, but as you experiment here in radio, as we do, things work out very well. We'll get to spend some more time with County Commissioner Cory Applegate, who is on the line. Cory, are you there? Okay, thanks for being on the program today, and thank you for doing an extended segment. As I mentioned to people, Representative Scott Bottoms was hoping to give us a legislative report today, but he's too busy legislating. Told me that they're going to be there probably all night on this 1312 transgender bill, and I said, can't you step out for 5 minutes? He said, I can be fined if I do that while they're doing the third reading, which they're doing up there now. So that is going on. At least we can tell people that the 1312 transgender protection bill is having its third reading in the House right now as we are broadcasting. But Cory, since we have extra time with you, and in the next segment, I'm going to ask you, what are the big, hot issues that the county commissioners are doing? How has your experience? I was thinking you're new, but actually it's been many, many months you've been a county commissioner. So how's that going? Now you were, before this, you were down in Fountain, right? And was that city council, or what were you down there? Okay. So what's that been like? What is it like to be in this position of all the different issues in the county and coming in and trying to get up to speed? Really? So what about any unexpected? Has there been something that really hit you unexpectedly in this position? Yeah, so we're doing, as you heard me mention, this is our Government Accountability Day, the first one. So when we come back with you, we want you to give us some inside perspective about what's going on there. What are some of the big things that are going on in front of the public, the issues that people should know about, as well as if you can give us some, behind the scenes thing and encourage people to get involved, as we the people are the government. And I know that you agree with that. So we'll be back with Cory Applegate, El Paso County Commissioner, when we return on The Peak. Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to us on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer, part of the Salem Network here in Colorado Springs. So happy to be your hyper-local, we say the quiet stuff out loud, news, grassroots, citizen journalist experiment that we're doing here. That's a good word for it. And we'll be back in a moment with El Paso County Commissioner Cory Applegate, talking about, what the county commissioners are most involved in or embroiled in at the moment. But I want to give a shout out to something special that's going on with one of our sponsors, that is the Altitude Hospitality Group. Mitch Yellen, they own the Pinery and Trainwreck Sports Bar, and of course you hear advertised here Dad's Donuts, as well as Vine and Wheel, and they have Garden of the Gods Cafe. And there was an establishment you may know about that he has called Pinery North, which is no longer, and they are reopening, really, really cool, called the Homestead Collective. And what this is, the best way I've seen to, and I've gone up and looked at it as they were doing the build out, it's like a high-end food court. So what they have is these higher-end restaurants, but then a seating area, a general seating area, and they're going to be opening, officially grand opening, Sunday, May 18th, and that's up at Prominent Point by Powers and Briargate, 9633 Prominent Point. Again, Pinery North was up there. And what's going to be there when they open, there are other restaurants that are going to be opening over time, but Dad's Donuts is up there. In fact, this is where Dad's Donuts is going to be making and has been making their cronuts, as they call them, their croissant donuts. So Dad's Donuts, Red Leaf Organic Coffee, Till Kitchen, Garden of the Gods Cafe, second location, and Campfire Pizza. So it says, bring the family, tag the foodie crew, and let's break bread and cronuts together, and they'll be open. Some of the places like Dad's Donuts from 6 in the morning. Other places are going to be open until late at night. So they say you're invited to eat your way from sunrise to last call. So get ready to join them starting on the 18th of May. So here we are on Tuesday, which is our Government and Politics Day, and we've designated something new we're calling Government Accountability Day. So we have on County Commissioner Corey Applegate. So Corey, tell us, what are some of the hot button issues, the major things that the El Paso County Commissioners are involved in at this moment? I mean, this really, when you were our guest on the show a couple months ago, you talked about this, and this really crushes local governments, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, what else? What's another issue? Yes. No, it's all small businesses funding the peak. Yeah. Okay. And next issue. This is great. Thank you for filling us in on this so people can get more involved. And folks, and you're meeting, you meet on Tuesdays, right? Okay. Yeah, we need more people involved. Okay, what's another issue that's hot at the county commissioners now? Can you can you do you remind do can you name some of those boards so people know? Uh,
And if you need more information on that, our website, www.elpasoco.com, and that can provide more information about that. And please, reach out to us, give us a call, email us.
So that's amazing. We're talking about a county with pushing 1 million people. We should be able to find tens of people to go on these boards.
Right.
Okay.
Sometimes there's openings. Yeah.
So the application process is all spelled out there on the website and the list of them.
And if there's any confusion, like I said, you can email us, you can reach out, you can call us, contact us. I mean, our front desk and our administrative specialists, they're there to help, they're there to assist. That's what their job is. If somebody has any interest to the slightest interest on these volunteer boards, please reach out.
And I'm sure it varies by board, but is there any sort of commonality of people saying how many hours, let's say a month, this kind of commitment is?
Yeah, it varies on board. So, obviously, something like the Planning Commission is going to be way more than your Board of Adjustment. But most boards, I mean, you're talking once a month, usually most, and then 1, maybe 2 hours.
Okay.
If there's not a hot topic, if there's nothing too controversial.
Okay, so think about that, everybody. I know we have a lot of retirees, especially you who are, retired from the military. You're still young, strong, capable, and others. And what do you have to be 18 to join a board?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
An adult. I mean,
So yeah,
answer an email.
if we could call 18-year-old adults, I have some in that range. So that's questionable, but that's legal. So even young people getting involved, these things are open. They're basically doesn't seem to be competition. I'm sure that there's an application process. I'm sure not everybody can get in, but when things are open like this is your opportunity to get your foot into government. These boards do make decisions that involve people's lives, involve tax money. I mean, these things are really, really important. So thank you for bringing that up, Corey, because this is the way that the public really can get involved without having to run an election, right? Or go through all of that. So lastly, I want you to comment. I know this was a city issue, but it's obviously in the state, this sanctuary city, and the fact that obviously we have no gangs here. There's no crime. There's no illegal aliens or anything, except what were in that nightclub last Sunday. But we have about a minute left. What's your comment on that, on cleaning up our own region and not needing the feds to come in to do it for us?
Yeah, well, we need to continue to push. I know that the State House keeps trying to make these laws where they don't want us to work with ICE, and ICE all of a sudden has become this bad word, this naughty word. I mean, they like all these other federal agencies, FBI, CIA, but, God forbid a sheriff's office simply makes a phone call to ICE. And we need to continue to support our law enforcement and do what we can and give them the resources we can. I ran on this, so the big thing I've been looking at is how can I help? And honestly, our sheriff has just kind of taken the reins, and he's like, you know what? I can step aside. He's like, I'm just going to, if I need assistance from ICE, I will call, but I will continue to enforce the rule of law and what's right for the community to protect people and keep people safe. I was at a prayer breakfast with him. He literally said, that's my job, is to keep people.
Well, that's really good, and I actually, because we're now getting the feds coming into the state, and there is a supremacy clause where the states do need to obey federal. So when these are going to contradict, it's going to be very interesting to see how our local law enforcement responds and whose authority. Corey Applegate, County Commissioner, thanks so much for being on the Peak today.
Yep, thank you so much, Hyam.
When we come back, we're going to have Tom Hamner talking about the feds are coming.
Wow, chiropractic wants your entire family to be healthy.
Okay, so we basically lost the whole first segment.
So what you're doing is you're turning on this mic. These mics are already on. That's this mic right now, so that they can hear us. I mean, you're not going to talk right now.
Okay, but so actually we're going to come.
So give it, well, we'll wait till the music's done.
The Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. Thanks for joining us on Government Politics Day and our first Government Accountability Day. I like this. Realize that we can bring on different people from different areas of government and find out what's going on, and that way you're informed and can decide how to get involved. And we have in this final segment Tom Hamner. We can call him a J6 survivor. He actually went to jail for a couple of years from things that happened in Washington, D.C. back on January 6th of 2021. And he is also a friend of mine, friend of the show, and a sponsor of the show. We always like to let you know that through his company, Granite Transformations. And so Tom has experienced personally what happens when the government gets too much power and not enough accountability. And so I asked him to come on today to do this segment that we're calling The Feds Are Coming to Town. And there's a lot going on right now where the federal government is coming to Colorado and saying, no, we're not going to let that go on anymore. So first, let's talk about that DEA/ICE bust that happened at the nightclub down on South Academy about a week ago. Things that we say we don't have in this town, like MS-13 and a lot of drugs and prostitution, illegal nightclubs. Guess what, folks? If you didn't realize it, we do have it. Tom, what's your take on that?
I guess Colorado Springs is a little bit bigger of a city than we all think. It sounds like there's some things going on that a lot of us can't turn a blind eye to anymore. So that's incredibly encouraging. Seems like we're going to see the things that are going on in this town get cleaned up, and I welcome that.
Yeah, I'd like us to clean up our own town, though. But what we keep getting claimed from the CSPD and from the sheriff's office is we're not allowed to. We have, in Colorado, they do not permit us to cooperate with ICE. And yet, if the feds come in and say you have to, there is a federal supremacy clause. So this conflict that may happen here and which mayors and which police departments are going to comply is going to be interesting for us to watch.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't line up with the federal government, even at the state level, I believe the Constitution or the federal laws take precedence.
Yeah, it's a
supremacy
clause preempts that. Okay, secondly, Sanctuary City, Denver may claim that they're not, but obviously they have been regarding how they've been doing it. But now there's a federal lawsuit from the DOJ coming against Denver, Jared Polis, Mayor Johnson up there. What do you make of this? The feds coming to town to say this whole sanctuary and protecting illegals isn't going to be tolerated by the federal government, regardless of your state law.
Well, I'm glad that they are coming in to do something. It just so happens that this is long overdue, but it's a good thing that maybe it did take this long because there's more people aware and standing up and getting in the gap right now to protect our state and the people here. It's incredible to see that the Attorney General Phil Weiser, is committed to protecting MS-13 criminals, gangbangers, rapists, sexual deviants, and everything on that side of the spectrum. But when it comes to somebody doing their job, like a lady named by the name of Tina Peters.
Yeah, well, let's get to that. That's the third point here. We have about a minute or so left. Tina Peters. Now President Trump has made a declaration regarding Tina Peters, who's the Mesa County clerk who was arrested on election issues, on how she handled the elections. What do you make of this with President Trump getting involved?
I think this is going to be a just time for all of us. I can just say that the people that are in the state capitol that have been fueling this and anywhere else around the country, look out. The DOJ's coming. They're not gonna be stopped by anybody. So, let's put our boots on and see what happens. But this is going to be an interesting time. We need to get Tina Peters home.
Yeah, and I know, and I'll give you a time now just to advocate for that, because especially as someone who went to jail over things like this, what is this with the Yellow Ribbon campaign?
I would suggest that today, if you support Tina Peters and her freedom, and the fact that she was doing her job, please get a yellow ribbon, wear it, tie it on something, but let's make it known that we support her and we are driving the force from the ground to get her home as the DOJ comes in from the top.
Okay. You've been listening to Tom Hamner, friend of the show and sponsor of the show. Tom, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
And now, Jim Miller, just a guy, and the Peak Rants.
I'm Jim Miller. I'm a veteran. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm overworked. I'm overtaxed. I'm tired. I'm getting a little bit grumpy out here in Colorado. I ran for mayor. I'm just a guy, and this is the Peak Rants. Look, let's look and see what tends to happen with everything. These politicians, they disgust and irritate and just make me angry. I hope they're making you angry too, honestly. None of them are representatives. They just start doing a bunch of stuff willy-nilly. They're like, gun rights? Oh, screw that. Doesn't matter. Oh, we don't like you saying or doing this. Screw you. We're just going to do it anyways. This is getting really out of hand. Colorado's just turned into some weird, gross political experiment on trying to, I guess, derail every right and freedom that you have and I have as a U.S. citizen. Certain inalienable rights. And they all shall not be infringed, for crying out loud. Not just the second. Not just the first, all of them. You don't be telling us what to do with our rights and freedoms. We're people, man. This shouldn't even be transpiring. You know what I'm starting to think? I'm starting to think that we need to be breaking in some real old school stuff, right? Anybody know historically who Cassius Clay is? Greatest dueler in United States history. I encourage you to look him up. I encourage you. Not Muhammad Ali Cassius Clay. I'm talking about the original Cassius Clay. Greatest duelist ever. I think we need to bring back dueling. Dueling's just a misdemeanor 1, by the way, ladies and gentlemen in Colorado. Just figured you might want to know that. It is no longer a felony 4. It is a misdemeanor 1. You can duel somebody. How come these politicians ain't dueling each other over some of this stuff? Could you imagine some of these filthy, out of shape, soft, limp-wristed, soft-handy, knee-bendy, fence-running types? These flabby, sweaty, gross, disgusting, sitting in office all the time, ding-dongs, wouldn't know how to change their own tire, be able to do nothing without the rest of us that are overworked and overtaxed and tired and grumpy. Busting out in a duel? I'd watch that on pay-per-view, I tell you what. I think they need to start dueling each other. Put your money where your mouth is. If they ain't willing to bleed for it, they ain't willing to be about their nonsense, violating our rights and freedoms. Remember, if you want it better, be better. I'm Jim Miller. I'm just a guy, and this is the Peak Rants on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer. We'll be right back.
My dentist saved my life. Not something you hear every day, unless you're talking to one of Dr. Craig Summers' patients at Springs Dentist.
It was really important to me to have a dentist that understood how your teeth and what goes in them affects everything else in your body.
I was experiencing a lot of headaches and just not feeling well. And I did some research and I found that mercury is in the amalgams and in the teeth. And Dr. Summer was very excited to help people get free of these amalgams and the mercury that's in them. I noticed my health improve almost immediately. And I felt like, almost to the point, I remember a few years ago going, you know what, I kind of like going to the dentist.
For holistic, general, cosmetic, and restorative dentistry or Invisalign in a stress-free environment, call 719-375-2427. That's 719-375-2427 and SpringsDentists.com. Springs Dentists, your life, your health, your smile.
Integrity, honesty, and pride in a job well done. I'm Chad Lewis, and these words describe Lewis Custom Painting with over 30 years of experience. We specialize in interior and exterior painting using the best in the industry, Sherwin-Williams paint, and provide a 10-year warranty on material and labor. Prep work is the most important part of a paint job, and we often spend one day on that alone. We are 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Contact us at lewiscustompainting.com. That's lewiscustompainting.com.
You want to write a book, but where do you start? Let me tell you a secret. Not every author needs to be a writer. Just like building a custom home, you can hire our writers, editors, and designers to help you craft and publish your message. At Believers Book Services, every day we help business leaders, coaches, pastors, and speakers tell their stories and teach their lessons. For more information about how to publish your way, visit us at believersbookservices.com. That's believersbookservices.com.
For a refreshing new take on wine and cheese, enjoy Vine and Wheel in downtown Colorado Springs. Carefully curated for the wine and cheese lovers, foodies, ladies' night outers, date night planners, and everyone in between for both casual dining and private events. Their menu features the highest quality meats, cheeses, and wines,
selected to complement each other in a symphony of flavor. Serving Wednesday through Sunday at 616 South Dahone Street. For more information and to book your table, go to vineandwheel.com. Because wine and cheese are meant to be enjoyed together.
The Peak News is committed to raise up a new generation of bold, ethical, First Amendment defending journalists in the Pikes Peak region and beyond. We've created the nonprofit Peak News Educational Foundation to develop and administer our journalistic ethics and media vocational training program for local high school and college students, coupled with a professional level internship at the Peak News. For more information and to donate, go to thepeak.news/foundation. The Peak News Educational Foundation, our way of paying it forward.
Thanks so much for joining us for another broadcast of the Peak News. We love you as listeners. We really appreciate you as fans, and we'd be ecstatic for you to join us in some capacity as a citizen journalist, a tech, an intern if you're a young person, a sponsor. We really love our sponsors, all small businesses in the area. And so if you'd like to join us on that, all of that information, including being a guest, and contact forms for all that are on our website, thepeak.news. And as we just had, that final ad was regarding our educational foundation. We did about a year ago start the Peak News Educational Foundation in order to raise up both adults and young people to be journalists, not activists, not all those other things that people have become in the news, but actually serve the community. And we are having a program, amazing, in the D11 school system to train up young people to be ethical journalists and plug them into an internship here at the Peak. And so if you're a student or a parent or a grandparent, want to consider this, if you'd like to consider it and donate to the foundation while we build out this curriculum to teach in the D11 school district. And by the way, it's open if you're outside D11, if you're homeschool, you can even be part of the program, is go to our website, thepeak.news, and go to the D11 CTE link. Well, we are Monday through Thursday, so we're back tomorrow. Faith and Family Wednesday. We have Sherry Lynn Boyles, President and CEO of Joint Initiatives, an organization that centers on empowering individuals to advance a safe, healthy, and flourishing community. And then on Education and Media Thursday, Colleen Enos, Legislative Liaison and Director of Government Relations for the Christian Home Educators of Colorado. We'll be talking, of course, about homeschooling and Christian schooling in Colorado. Now stick around here on The Answer for the Larry Elder Show and check out our 230-plus podcasts on thepeak.news. The Peak, we say the quiet stuff out loud, and with your help, we're saying it louder and louder and louder every day for such a time as this. Shalom.
Find us at am1460theanswer.com. Download our apps, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv, AM1460 and FM 101.1, KZNT, Colorado Springs.